So welcome back to the Spiritual Gangster Recovery. I told you guys that I'll give you a little tour and show you what my Zen den looks like. So this is Spiritual Gangster Recovery episode 2. I'm going to continue a little bit with my story, but first I just kind of want to show you guys what is part of my spirituality. I've kind of developed my own you would say, form of spirituality, sold out for Jesus in the kingdom of God, but I also believe real heavily in meditation, so prayer, meditation, and then I also believe that God created beautiful stones, right? Like everything is created by God in my eyes. So He created these beautiful stones to kind of catch certain parts of our energy and fuel it, if you will, from the energy of certain colors and crystals and their spiritual meaning. So, lapis lazuli, I think that's how you say it, the blue one with gold in it, was actually in the Bible, and some other stones where they in the Old Testament, they made this shield that they put certain stones in to protect from their enemies. And I ain't going to go too much into that, but, here's just a little peek into my life. And this is actually where I'm going to be recording all these videos with myself and others. As, I got a few people that's already said that they was willing to come on a podcast if I started it up. So I've posted video 1, and I'm kind of nervous and anxious about it, really, because I also posted where people can go and support what I'm trying to do. And I just don't want nobody to think that this is all about money, or like this is a plea for that. I'm just, I've created all these things leading up to actually starting to record videos and post them and actually put myself out there, from like suggestions of other people. I've been watching how other people do their podcast, and I'm kind of trying to take some of what I've seen, what I've learned in my own heart, and kind of see where it goes. So I'm going to give you a little tour real quick, and then I'm going to share a little bit of my story with you. So, here's my main crystal collection. It's pretty extensive, as you can see. I got a lot of my crystals posted, some of the wood burning I've been doing lately. Part of the No Matter What Club. We don't use no matter what. And then some other cool things that I've kind of, come up with. I got a bunch of little carved stones, little animals, spirit animals. A bunch of my obelisk. Got a bunch of them. Over there, if you can see it, is where all my crystal bracelets are. I make them and I sell them. But really, I just got into crystals and then started making these bracelets and ended up with a whole bunch of them, and in the wall where I put a bunch of other wood burnings I've done. I like to glue a bunch of stones with a hot glue gun to things. Like they have these little pieces of wood that you can get at Hobby Lobby and stuff. And then this is my Zen den, man. This is where I've spent my first few years in recovery here, and it's been really good.
I'm excited about this next season of life and what it's going to bring. So, I kind of shared some things in the first video, kind of about my mom and her passing away from an overdose and things, but, um, I'm going to kind of try to start from the beginning, childhood. And so I grew up on off of Parsons Avenue in the south end of Columbus, Ohio, which is, I don't know, kind of like white trash, if you will. There's the south end, and then there's the south side, which we call the dirty south. So once you go over this viaduct, where Buckeye Steel used to be, there's a sign right there that says "Welcome to the South Side." And over on that side of Parsons Avenue, it's rough over there. I've seen a lot of crazy things as far as like, drugs and things over there, but I was more on the south end. Um, I had a really good life growing up. My mom's father, which was my grandpa, lived in Florida, so we used to go down there all the time. Um, so some of my earliest memories are being in Florida with my family. Um, it seemed like everything was good, but then I have some memories of my mom and dad fighting all the time. Um, my dad's, you know, an undiagnosed alcoholic, to this day. Uh, but he's also one of the greatest men that I've ever met. I always say that if I could be half the man that my father is, um, I would be proud of myself. And when I heard him say he was proud of me, I got really emotional over that because uh, he's a really good person and loving, caring, honest, probably one of the most honest people I've ever met in my life. Um, but so they were fighting when I was younger, and I remember getting in a car with my mom and going sneaking and spying on my dad when he was at the bar and was with who is now my stepmother, and they've been married for a long time. But at that time, it was like, broke my mom's heart. I remember hearing this noise one night, and I was like, "What is that?" I got up, and she was like, there was like this wooden picture of him, and she was just, stabbing it and crying, and um, that really messed with me, man. Like my dad broke my mom's heart in that, and I was a mama's boy, so like, when they finally divorced, uh, I was kind of resentful towards him for that. And also, my mom was really, I don't know how to say it, like, really not happy with my dad and his choices. So, um, kind of turned me against him. And for a long time, I wouldn't go visit him and uh, go over to, he was now with my stepmom and married. And eventually, like, my grandma, I grew up a street over from my dad's parents. My grandma and grandpa lived a street over from me. So as I was growing up, I'd go over there all the time. And, um, my grandma worked at a bowling alley, Piketon Lanes on Parsons Avenue. And one of my first, probably traumatic, I would say, things happened at that bowling alley. I was with them when they were opening up early in the morning. My grandma was like a manager, basically, and a gentleman entered the place and grabbed me up and pointed a gun to my head and told everybody to, he robbed the place. Um, we ended up in the pool room, and I remember the guy saying, like, you know, better not breathe, da 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 da. And, so I literally held my breath till the cops came, and I was like purple when they got there because I was scared to death. He said, "Don't breathe, don't make a sound or something." But he ended up robbing the 5 or 6 old people that were there. I'm sure he took the money, and um, you know, it was crazy for that to happen as a young kid. Looking back at it now. Um, so I stayed with my mom when my parents divorced. You guys hear the grand finale and fireworks. This is 4th of July, so I don't really know fireworks. Anyways, I stayed with my mom. I'm an only child. Um, I had an older friend that lived about 2, 3 houses down from me. That me and him were like best friends, and he was older, so and had a couple screws loose and still does to this day. He's still actively using, and oh man, it's terrible. I see pictures of him, and he looks terrible. Anyways, so at a very early age, I would say maybe 14, 15 years old, I started taking uh, acid, like hallucinogens, and drinking malt liquor, 40-ounce Mickeys, um, which were disgusting, and we thought we was gangsters, right? Um, so I do want to say that I don't like to drug log in telling my story, but um, through this and through these videos, I'm going to share substances because I want people to be able to identify and relate to what I'm saying. So yeah, I started out early, tripping. I mean, me and my buddy would eat, from the very beginning, I was really extreme. People say drug of choice. Mine was more and more and more. I always took things to extreme, and so did my buddy. So, I kind of maybe got it from him. I don't know. So, we would split a sheet of acid, which is like 50 hits, take it and trip for like, I think when we did that, we tripped for like maybe a week. It was so bad that my buddy was walking around there, bro. It looked like a cartoon. In the bottom of his feet, because he was barefooted for some reason, had like blacktop on him, like that thick. It was disgusting. Um, but anyway, so, my mom, in her eyes, I could do no wrong. Um, she was like my best friend. Eventually, like an enabler. And she was my best friend. Uh, and I don't think that she, I don't know how to say it. I don't want to say she didn't parent well, but she kind of didn't parent well. But anyways, so, oh, um, I don't know how much to share on this first video, so, um, I'm gonna end there. The next video, I plan on bringing in one of my willing volunteers of my recovery crew, my recovery fam, and letting them share their experience, strength, and hope, and see what happens after that. I posted ways for people to support what I'm doing, and I hope and pray that people are willing and able to do that. I know times are hard. Trust me, I know times are hard. I don't like to play the pity card like, woe is me because I'm a felon and um, terrible credit, bad decisions, but times are hard, uh, really hard for people. So I pray that all is well with you. May God bless you and keep you. Stay clean, do the next right thing, and I'll see you later. Love y'all. Peace.